Alright, here's my bike. XS500B, 1975 model, cafe. Been having some issues with the left cylinder pulling a lot of the weight for the bike during idle. So I'm going to do a couple things today. I'm basically going to pop off the tank there, do a compression test. The manual over here basically says that I should have 140 pounds of pressure. Now, I don't really think I have that, which is gonna suck. Hopefully I don't have to rebuild it, because the bike does run. It just, the right cylinder doesn't kick in until about 3,000 RPMs. So I'm gonna start there. And I've been slowly synchronizing the carbs, upjetted it. I went to a 50 slow jet, 135 main, and the main is actually too big, so I'm going to go back to the main jet that was on this bike when I got the 2 and the 1 exhaust, and I'm thinking that might cure my issue. So once I do that, then I'm gonna sync the carbs again and hopefully get this bike tuned in just right. Alright, I don't know if you could see that. Plugs look a little too wet, so that's probably because my main is too high. So I'm going to work to fix that there. Alright, also on the right cylinder, looks a little fouled there, a little too wet. So again, the main should fix that. Alright, so I got this compression tester from AutoZone. It comes with some different attachments right here. Pretty sure this is the right size here. And then what we're going to do is hook up this nozzle here. And I took both spark plugs out because it's going to make it easier to kick it and see the compression. So what I'm going to do is hook this up, open the throttle, and then kick it a bunch of times until I reach the highest point. Alright, good news. Left cylinder, I was able to kick and get up to, it looks like 140 PSI. So that's exactly where I want to be in the left cylinder. So I'm going to do the right side and we'll go from there. Alright, wonderful news. Right cylinder actually measures higher compression than the left cylinder. So this is about 145 and the left cylinder here was 140. And right now the symptoms is the left cylinder is running stronger. So my first inclination is that I don't have this tuned right. There's not enough vacuum pressure going to both cylinders. So my next step is to take the carbs off, put the smaller main jets in it because the spark plugs look too wet. Fire this thing back up, get up to operating temperature, and then we're gonna hook up the carb sync tool and go through that process. So this is actually the simplest part, the main jet. The slow jet's under there. There's a little tiny bit that you have to pull out, and then you have to flip this upside down to really get that. But basically when you're in here, you should measure your float bowl level. So it's just resting on top of the needle. Everything's in the manual. And you should clean out all your carbs and everything. But this is the main jet here. Pull that out, just wiggle it. There's an O-ring in there. You can twist it a little bit. That's in there pretty good. Alright, there it is. It's got a good O-ring on it. Maybe I can pull that off there, I don't know. Alright. And what we're going to do we're going to take the 120 main jet, just pop it right in there, and I want to try to get some type of a nice snug fit on there. Alright, this O-ring is rock hard, so I took the O-ring off the other one. I'm going to try to get it on there. It's not going to be easy, so I actually might have to cut this one off, which I don't want to do because, yeah, see, it already broke. So that's not a good sign. But I got it off, so we're going to put this O-ring on there. And just went on very easily, popped right on. And I'm just going to, oh, look at that. It's going to fit nice and snug in there. That's actually makes me feel a whole lot better. Perfect. All right, so I finished putting the O-rings on the older gaskets, which hopefully should help some. They were hard, they cracked. They actually both, you can't really see here, this one, they broke off easily. And because I'm gonna sink these carbs later, you might wanna just do yourself a favor. There's a little bolt in here. You can definitely loosen it up before you put the carbs on. It makes things a little bit easier. When you do have the carbs on, though, eventually that little screw in the middle is going to help sink the carburetors. And you're going to have some type of ratchet. If you use a fat end all the way down there, it's not going to work. So you need some type of skinny socket, skinny arm, and something long enough because you're going to really be underneath the tank. But as you can see, it's going to take a little bit of light, a little bit of finagling, but eventually you can get it down there. And then when you got it just right, you just snug it up. So I'm going to loosen it up here so I can have a full range of motion. And now I'm going to put the carburetors on the motorcycle. All right, carbs are back on. Throttle cables are hooked up there. There's no air leaks. So I'm going to leave the pods off. What I'm going to do is put the tank on now. Just kind of fire it up, make sure that it sounds right, and then what I'm going to do is open the door, get some ventilation in here, and then show you how to hook up the carb sync tool. All right, I had this thing fired up, and I was basically going through the air mixture screw, trying to really find the right setting. It's not quite the factory spec, but it's maybe a 1/2 and a 1/4 turnout versus 1 1/4 manual spec. So I'm just gonna fire up, kind of show you how it was running. Now I need to hook up the old tack, which I actually have right here, because basically says the bike should be idling around 1200 RPMs, and this tack is off. I found that out yesterday. It was around, at 1200, it was around 15 or 1600 RPMs on this tack. So I'm just gonna, when I go through tuning, I'm gonna hook this up again and show you how that's done. But let me fire it up so you can hear. Starts up real nice. Still has a little bit of jump. So I'm going to tune it, sync the carbs, and hopefully that fixes it. Cylinder's running a little bit hot here. And hopefully when I sync the carbs, this should balance out the cylinder over here running a little hot. All right, this is the carb sync tool. You can get it off of Amazon. It's about $100. What's nice, it has dampers, so if the needle's bouncing, it will keep it nice and smooth. I think it's worth the price here, because if you ever get a 4-cylinder motorcycle, which I recently got a KZ650, then this is going to come in handy. But it's got all the attachments, got extra O-rings in here, hoses, and what I'm basically going to do, I'm going to do a couple things. I'm gonna start by propping up the tank here to give me access to the screw that I need to get to, which is down there. Unfortunately, I've got bad light, so I'll have to see if I can find a light around here. But once I do that, then real simple, what you're going to want to do is take out this screw here. Be careful that you got the right size screwdriver. You don't want to strip the threads on these things. And also, I'm going to put this down for a second. You just want to make sure that you're not going to lose this bolt, just like I did there. You want to try to keep it from getting somewhere where you don't want it to go. So I'm just going to grab that, even though it's hot. All right, so do that for both sides, and then I'll show you the next. All right, so the next step is to get your fitting here. This kit comes with everything, right threads. Check the O-rings, make sure they're good. Screw it in like so. All right, this one happens to be the wrong size. So we're going to try this again. All right. Check the O-rings. Look good. Screw it in like so. Don't over tighten it. Just nice and snug. And we're going to do the same for the other side. It's right there. I didn't check the O-ring on this one. Looks a little flattened in one spot, so should be okay. Yeah, it snugs up right there, so that's all right. All right, next step. Real simple. You're going to get your hoses and you're just going to push them on there. They don't need to be really far on, but just enough to be snug. You can probably twist it a little bit just to make sure. You just want that to be airtight. We're going to do the same with the other side. All right, that's on there. All right. All right, so I hooked it all up. Now you're gonna notice a little click here. And what that is, it's a valve release. So if you hear that, you wanna make sure you click left and then just lightly loosen it or lightly tighten it so you're not going over that click. So what that's going to do is get the needle moving, and then you can tighten it, the damper, to bounce the needle out. All right, so I'm going to start it up and we'll take a look where it's at. All right, it's actually really close. So I was messing with it yesterday. What we do here. Alright, so I forgot to hook up the old tach. Keep in mind that it wants the carburetors at 2 settings. If we go back to the manual here, what's going to be important is that engine speed 1200 RPMs, vacuum 15 to 20. So I was messing around with these yesterday, so they actually might be pretty close, but we're going to do just that. We're going to match up the engine speed and vacuum pressure and go from there. Perfect. Alright, this is where we're at here. Probably back the idle down just a little bit. Mess with it just a tad to show you. I'm happy right there with it. It's getting warm, so bring down the idle just a little bit. Alright, so I think I got it dialed in just right. What's been happening is that as this engine heats up, and you'll idle just right. Vacuum pressure just right. And I don't know if you can see it, but there is smoke rising. And honestly, what I think that is the oil burning off here. That's my speculation there. Stinky. All right, just so you know where this idle is, I'm going to show you here. So we're looking at just above 1500. And that's where idle's supposed to be. So that's a wrap. I'm going to take her for a spin one day and I'll show you.